Hello everyone, Sneak Peek came around for Power of the Elements, so we got Mathmech Circular, amazing card, finally great to have in the TCG, well, officially will be legal for like all tournaments next week, but for Sneak Peek it's obviously playable. So that's what we did. So the build that I used for Sneak Peek was 4-0, it was Adventure Mathmech. I decided to go Adventure over Pure because it's more concrete. You get the negation set up first, so you're protected from hand traps, so you don't have to play around hand traps. And then it just becomes so much more easier to do with circular. You barely ever break. Because basically any two monsters get you a circular that gets you to the rest of the combo. So, starting off, we have our 3 copies of circular. Amazing card. It dumps for cost when you special summon it, so you can dump Sigma, which then revives itself and triggers its other effects. Get a spell Trap Search, which is always going to be usually your Super Factorial, or an Induction, which I do play in the side deck. Or you can get a play Equation, but I am not playing Equation with this build, the Monster Reborn. After that, we are playing 3 copies of Sigma. A lot of people have been going 2 copies of Sigma because it's freely dumpable, so you have technically more copies of it. It's 5 instead of 6. But I really like just seeing the Sigma by itself because it means circular can dump a diameter and you basically get to the same result, but no chance of getting hand trapped midway to prevent like Allen Merchant searching diameter. So it's just more consistent, more easy to work with. And we have standard, 3 additions, special summons, 3 subtractions, more extension. We are running 3 copies of diameter. I used to have this at 2 copies before circular came out, but now with circular I really want to see like the extra diameter so I can have the early negate along with the Griffin negate. So it just helps once again for more consistency in seeing names. Very good stuff. We are playing 1 Nabla, pretty standard. Some people run 2, but 1 is all you need, especially for this build. Playing 1 Multiply to go into Final Sigma or 10k access code. And now for the adventure package, we are playing 3 Aquamancer. And then we also play 2 Ray, we'll get to that for a second, but Aquamancer is amazing. And the 1 Griffin Rider to go with it. And continuing on with the monsters, for hand traps, we have 3 Ash Blossom and 2 Ghost Ogres, as far as the monsters go. So this, along with everything else, Ghost Ogre is amazing in this format. It hits so many things. It hits Flundery's map, it hits the TR Limit field spell, it hits TR Limit summoning Dracos Apelia when they try to give you the counter. It's so good. Anyone not playing Ghost Ogre is kind of silly. And especially against Sprite, just destroy Sprite. Onto the spells, we have 3-sided mining, consistency search, good stuff. We are playing 2 rights. A 3rd right would put it to like 41 cards, or would have to cut something, but sometimes you don't want to draw too much adventure stuff, so the 3-2 ratio is really good. And the 1 Faithful Adventure, and the 1 Dracoback. And for etc. cards, we have the 1 Call by the Grave. We are playing 2 copies of Droplets, debating if I would play a 3rd copy if I owned it, but 40 cards, gotta stay to 40 as best as possible, so 2 is fine. We are playing Triple Impermanence, and the 1 Super Factorial. Some people have questioned if they want to play 2 Factorials, but we're only playing 1 Laplacian in this build, and it's not like you really care too much about DD Crow or Ghost Spell, since we can make Appaloosa now before flipping Super Factorial. So just 1 copy is fine. Onto the extra deck. We have our 1 copy of Disciple, 1 copy of Devotee, which usually you have Allen Merchant Tribute instead of gain draw, so you can get the extra body on board. We have the 1 Lingeriabo, 1 Link Spider. This is very important for the adventure token, so that way you can turn into a Cyber so you can start link climbing. We have the 1 Wicked, and then we also have the other new card, Pit Knight Early. This is a generic Link 2, and basically when a monster it points to, which is usually will be IP Masquerena, when it activates its effect, if they don't have anything to respond to that, you chain Pit Knight Early to target a monster they control, its effects negated, and they have 0 attack. So when you go for the IP Appaloosa, they now can't run over the Appaloosa with the monster once you start negating their monster effects with the Appaloosa. Extremely good card, and it's also like if your opponent has a droplets or something, it's another card they have to pitch to stop. Because if they just hit the IP, but like if they like imperm the IP, you could still attempt to activate it and then chain early. So it's really good in that regard. Got the IP and the Appaloosa. And then for the generic Cyberse climbing, we have one copy of Splash Mage, one copy of Transcode, and the one access code. One thing to note about transcode is that if you do summon any of the adventure tokens or water enchantress or griffin, you cannot use the revive effect, but that's usually fine because you could do link spider anyways. Your token is still going to turn to a link spider to go into access code or anything else that you need, so it's never that much of an issue. It will barely ever screw you over. Then onto the Mathmech stuff. We have our 2 copies of Alan Bertrand is all you need. You should never need a 3rd copy. Some people choose to do that. It's kind of silly. And then the 1 Laplation. Also, extra deck space is really tight, so it's not going to fit it anyways. And then the Final Sigma. Always important to play Final Sigma because if access code gets stopped, then it usually will get stopped. It will get like impermed or veilered after resolution. You usually want to use access code to bait out stuff first, and then you can always go into this afterwards. And that's it for the side deck. Now, we got the good spice for side deck in this format. Triple Raw Sphere Mode. This is an amazing card in this format because now it's circular, you never need to normal summon to OTK. So, no normal summon, you go Sphere Mode. And this came up against someone that was dueling with pretty much full tier elements. He had the full deck out. So he ended his board with 2 monsters, and then on my own turn, he activated Havness from the hand to mill and then summon more. And as soon as he summoned that extra monster, just Sphere Moded his board. It turned off his trap because the trap requires having a tier elements on the field. And then the funny thing is, you can OTK with this with Final Sigma. You put it in attack mode. Basically, the way it works, ruling-wise, is there is a difference between attack declaration and attack targeting. So, when it comes to anything that affects attack targeting, also ignore the fact that it says player's unofficial jargon, so you don't go by that, you go by declaration versus attack target. Attack targeting affects the monster. So, you declare an attack, and then you choose an attack target. So, because Final Sigma is unaffected by all monster effects except for other Mathmech cards, he completely ignores this, and you can punch it for 12k. Extremely easy to game. Next up, we have 1 copy of Token Collector. I wish I could fit at least 1 more, but it's also searchable Alan Bertrand, since you can have Circle to get the extra bodies. You can XYZ someone with 3, detach, and then search this if you're up against a Sword Soul matchup or something. We have 3D Barrier, still amazing in this format. Everything's fusions or synchros, which funny enough, this doesn't really affect us at all, because like even if you debarrier and you have super factorial set, you call XYZ like against Splight, like you don't have to flip super factorial on their turn. You can still just hold it for the next turn, so it doesn't really hurt you in that regard. Then we have 3 copies of a Pointer. This is also another very good card coming back into the meta. It just lets you rip out things like Dark Ruler, which a lot of people have started playing. It lets you rip out Sphere Mode, which other people might start playing, especially tier elements, since they special summon mostly. And just get rid of any problem card. Just careful in time. Then we are playing the 1 Mathmech Induction. This is a searchable Mystic Mine out. And it's also just really good. Like if you already open extra bodies or you open a super factorial, there's a second spell trap you can search. 1 off Circular, 1 off the Alan Bertrand, like if you already had the diameter in hand. So very nice card to have, and it also plays around Ultimate Slayer, the new secret rare, the one that shuffles back a card, can't respond to it with monster effects. Basically, if they try to Ultimate Slayer like your IP Appaloosa, you can chain Induction, which will then allow you to activate the IP, and then that will make your Appaloosa, and because their card targets Ultimate Slayer, it does nothing. So very good tech choice essentially. Again, if people start playing Ultimate Slayer. Then we have back row removal. We have 2 copies of Twin Twisters, because people still play back row decks and floodgates and stuff. The 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, and the 1 Red Reboot to top it all off. Pretty much an OTK deck, you're always playing Red Reboot. Especially in this format where there's traps now with CR limits and stuff. They actually play trap cards, so good stuff. So basically, Circular always gets you to a 1 card Wicked, Alan Burchin on field, and IP Masquerena with the for the Super Factorial. But if you have any extra extender, you can usually end on the pit early. So Circular plus Diameter, or Circular plus add sub, etc. usually gets you to the board of you have IP. Yeah, I don't know, down it's here. That Wicked, and then you will have the Laplacian Super Factorial. So this is basically like if you don't have the adventure stuff, then this is the board you want to end on. But if you do have the adventure stuff, then you'll usually just have like the IP Wicked, and then you'll have the Griffin Rider and the token. So immediately you shotgun this, you go into Appaloosa to open up the zone so you can Laplacian, or you use the Griffin effect first, that opens up a zone so you can Laplacian. You can maybe hold the IP in that case, or they try to use Ultimate Slayer or something. So basically you're always getting out like your end board. Like it will go off. It's so versatile now that we have Circular. Circular. This card's literally nuts. I'm glad it was printed as a super rare. And that's pretty much it for the deck profile. Thanks for watching.